What's up, boys and girls? I just want to do a quick update video here. The last video with the Z400 update, I left you guys with the quick change cover for the Z400. And here we are. This is the prototype that I'm running from Bryan May. He makes the quick change covers for the 250R as well. I'm running I've got two of his covers. This is one of them for the 250R. This one, you know, I reached out to him to see if he'd want to make a run of these for the Z400, and he did. This is pretty much an exact clone to what these were on the factory Suzuki bikes that were ran by Doug Gust and Jeremiah Jones back in the day. They use a YFZ450 carb model clutch cover. You can also use a YZ450 dirt bike. There's certain years, and a WR450, but the part number you want for the Hinson cover is C196. You could probably use a Boyesen cover or any other cover, a Barnett cover, anything you want for like a carb model YFZ. Just keep in mind that this cover was designed around the Hinson, so another cover might not give you enough clearance between the brake pedal and the cover. You might have to mod the brake lever a little bit, but basically all you do is you send your stock cover into Bryan, and he cuts off the like embossment where the factory clutch cover was, you know, the housing basically that's not removable on the stock Z400, and he welds in this machined ring, and then you bolt the cover to it. So you're going to want to get the Hinson cover and also a carb model gasket for here. But basically what you're going to do, you can't just buy this whole as a finished product. You have to either send him your cover, you either have to remove your cover, your stock clutch cover, and send it to him, or buy one new from like an OEM part section, like from Rocky Mountain, or used on eBay or whatever, and send it to him and let him modify it. Here is the cover that I took off. This is the stock cover. Here you can see kind of that stock area where the clutch is. He cuts that off and welds in a machined ring for the quick change cover. And the main benefit to this is so you can change your clutch plates without having to drain the oil or the coolant. Pretty much every 450 quad dirt bike is like this. Not really needed on a stock Z400. The clutch is very reliable. If you're starting to make a little more power, still pretty reliable, but it's a good idea to change your clutch plates often. There we go. That's a little better. Just because you will be throwing some more power and torque at it, and they will wear out a little quicker. So it is good to have the quick change cover, in my opinion, if you're making a little more power. Just makes things a little simpler, and it looks pretty friggin' sweet. So what you're going to want to do is, once you get your cover off, you're going to want to remove the water pump, which is basically 3 bolts here. I think it's like 1, 2, 3, and then it'll come off. You do need to remove a snap ring and like a plastic gear on this side first, and then the water pump will come through. There's a O-ring right here and an O-ring right here. I suggest at minimum replacing those 2 O-rings. If not, to be on the safe side, if you don't know the last time you've serviced your water pump, or if it isn't already leaking a little bit from the weep hole, I would just order a water pump rebuild kit and just refresh the entire water pump, and that will come with those 2 O-rings that you need for the clutch cover. So you want to get the water pump completely off, and then next you want to remove the retaining tab, obviously the screw, the retaining tab, and the crank seal. This is the crank seal. This seals around the crank. If you try to reuse this, there's a possibility you're not going to have enough oil pressure. You really need a good seal here for the crank snout to get good oil pressure. And then for this Phillips screw here, you don't just want to use a regular Phillips screwdriver. You want to use a Phillips Impact. You can get a cheap one at the parts store, Amazon, wherever. Get one of those. If you don't already have it, it's good to have in your toolbox, and it'll make removing this a lot easier. So obviously screw tab and crank seal, we're going to replace that with new. And then you're going to want to remove the oil check valve here. Pretty simple device here. It's just basically like a seal bushing spring and a ball bearing. And all you got to do, there's a little check bolt right here. You just take that out. You can just take a screwdriver of your choice and push it out like this. It won't come out because I have it flat against the yeah, it won't come out because I have it flat against the deal here. I'm going to put this phone down and I'll show you. So I just pushed it down and out through that hole. And here's the components. So it's just a spring, a ball, and a conical rubber bushing. And when you go to put the new ones in, after you get your cover back from Bryan, you're basically just going to put the spring in first, the ball, and then you're going to put this seal like bushing deal back in. Make sure you put the conical end facing down towards that ball like that. Just chewed up a little bit. That will normally sit flush. I just kind of chewed it up a little bit trying to remove it. But so that's it. That's all you got to do. Very simple. You can see I just quickly kind of showed you there how to do that. So that's pretty simple. Move over here to the computer. Hopefully the phone will focus on this all right. I'll kind of go over some things with you that you might want to get if you want to do this. In my opinion, I think the Hinson clutch cover looks the best. That's what we kind of made that around, that cover around. So you'll want to get manufacturer part number from Hinson C196. This is on Rocky Mountain ATV. They have them in stock. They're ready to go. Pretty much shares the same clutch cover as like, I believe it's 03 to 09 YZ450 dirt bike and like 03 to 2015 WR 450. In my opinion, just type in 2006 Yamaha YFZ, the quad carb model 450, and just get the cover. That's $159. You can get them on eBay too if you want, probably a little cheaper. You're going to want to get a YFZ 450 or Yamaha YZ style clutch cover gasket. It's only like $5.99. You're gonna want to get that, and then this is the OEM parts section. So you're gonna go like OEM parts down to Suzuki, etc., and it's gonna pull up this. You're gonna go Suzuki, all-terrain vehicle. Mine's a 2008 Z400. And we're going to go down here. You're going to put in the crankshaft for the part schematic. And you're going to look at item number 10. This is the crank seal right here, number 10. And that will be part number, this is Suzuki part number 09282-14003. That's the oil seal you're going to want to get, OEM. And then for the new check valve assembly, you're going to want to also go in the OEM part section, but you're going to go into the oil pump part schematic, and you're going to want to get parts 16, 17, and 18 right there. 16, 17, and 18. The spring part number is 09440-0703. The ball part number, giggity, ball, is 06111-12004, and the seal for the oil check valve is Suzuki part number 16442-29F00. And keep in mind, this is also the same part numbers for a DRZ400 dirt bike. So if you have a local store near you that stocks a lot of DRZ parts, you live in an area of the United States where there's a lot of dual sporting, etc., they usually carry a lot of DRZ Suzuki parts. So just an idea for you. And then obviously, not only will you want to get the gasket, as I mentioned earlier, for the YFZ, the quick change part, you're also going to want to get it for the Z400, the outer part. Let me see here. Which is, and I just use the Tusk covers. They're green, simple paper, gaskets, but they were good, good enough for me. And that's part number 1148207G00W, $8.99. So you got a few parts to get if you want to do this. I mean, I'm sure you probably could reuse some of the parts if you wanted to really risk it with the seals and stuff. But I think if you're going to put a quality part like this on there, to go ahead and do the full deal, do it right. So get new seals, water pump rebuild kit, or at minimum those 2 O-rings that I discussed. And again, you can get that from the OEM parts section. Just go to water pump as the part schematic. And then for the water pump rebuild, you don't have to get OEM for that. You could get either a Tusk or All Balls or Windorosa. I think I've used a lot of Windorosa kits to rebuild water pumps, and they always work really well. If you've never done a water pump before, watch a couple YouTube videos on it. You have to be very careful with the mechanical seal. That pretty much separates the coolant from the oil, and you don't want to screw that up. It's not hard to do. You just want to make sure you know what you're doing. I think that's really it. Pricing, I kind of got with Bryan on that. So without, not including shipping to and from, which you're looking at like $20 to ship it to him, which I would recommend using a priority mail flat rate box to ship your stock clutch cover to him. $20, and then it'll be $20 back. So it's like $40 in shipping, there and back. But for him to modify the cover, it's going to be $240, PayPal. So what he usually does is he gets a list of people, and he figures out how many of those rings he needs to machine on his machine there, and then as you send your covers in, he gets them done. He pretty much does them all, at the same time, and then ships them all back out. So he kind of does them in like batches, if that makes sense. There is no minimum amount he'll do and no maximum amount he'll do, but I think I've garnered enough interest with this cover. I think we can get a good amount of covers going for Bryan there. I'll leave my email in the description. I was going to put the part numbers in the description, but I don't think I really need to, since I kind of showed you there on the computer. But I'll leave my email in the description. If you want to get a cover, go ahead and email me. Today is November 15th, 2021. So if you're seeing this video a year or two from now, there's a good possibility you might not even be doing this anymore, which I apologize. But if you're a subscriber and you're you have the alerts set to get my videos, you're going to get this video. So if you want one, shoot me an email. He will not be doing any more work until January, but it's a good idea to go ahead and get on a list if you want one. And he's quick. Once you send him your cover, you're probably going to get it back within a week and a half, and you're good to go. When you go to install it, no tricks, nothing crazy. When you put the cover on, obviously you're going to have to take the brake lever off. Either take it all the way off and put the cover on, or you can leave the brake lever on and swivel it up. If you do that, when you put it back down, you're going to have to put the brake lever all the way down and do one bolt, and then you're going to have to lift the brake lever up and do another bolt, and kind of if that makes sense to you. I'm sure it does, but it's easier just to take the whole lever off, in my opinion. It's just a couple bolts there. And then I've had a few people asking about the brake lever. This is a stock Z400 brake lever. I stripped the paint, I brushed it with maroon Scotch-Brite, and then I used a product called Shark Hide. It's like a clear coat to protect the brush finish. And then I cut off the stock welded on Suzuki pedal, and I got a CRF 450 brake tip that bolts in from the back here. You can get these on eBay in any color, like any style. They're good to have for when it wears out. And then I no longer am using the stock return spring from the Suzuki setup here. I am using a Fast Company brake return spring there that kind of consolidates the spring into the master cylinder itself. And then you can also adjust the tension of the spring to kind of get your desired pedal feel, which in my opinion is just the way to go. $20, you can get it at Works Connection, probably most major parts houses, but it's made by Fast Company, the same people that make the flex bars. Excellent product. Again, if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I don't think I'm forgetting anything, but again, feel free to ask if you need to, and I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks.